Hello and welcome back to Functional Wellness with Dr. Alison. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to post, and we're now deep into summer with the kids being home. So I want to kind of apologize and say, sorry, I haven't been around. I've been able to still see patients, but working on podcasts has been a little difficult. I've been pretty sick this year. 2023, I would say, has been extremely rough, and I'm going to dive into that today. And what we're going to talk about is, what about that root cause of your illness? And in functional medicine, that's our main goal. And this is going to be a podcast where I really I'm going to share a little bit more about my story, give you some encouragement. I'm going to complain a little bit. But my question today is, what if there is no root cause to your illness? Or at least, what if there is no fixable root cause to your illness? And this is a rhetorical question as we walk through this together, because this is what I've been struggling with for the past few months. So if we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Dr. Alison Goggin. I'm a functional medicine physician, doTERRA wellness advocate with Little Black Bag Medicine, and I'm an autoimmune patient. I have ulcerative colitis, and January of this year, so 2023, I came down with another reactivation of Epstein-Barr, which was just miserable, extremely sick. And then my lovely insurance company decided to switch the medication that was working. So I was taking Inflectra, which is an immune suppressant. It's an IV. And I was getting that every 6 weeks, and it was working pretty great. I would say 70% better, from death to 70% better. It was working really well. I was happy with it. But my insurance company, I guess, made a different deal with a different company. Anyways, I got a different medication. Now they call it a biosimilar, which means it's basically the same, but there's like one molecule off, which, whatever. So I got that infusion in February, but it didn't work. It failed. So after a few weeks, I started going downhill really, 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 really fast. And all of my ulcerative colitis symptoms came back, between the pain, extreme pain, the bloating, the nausea, started losing weight again, started losing muscle mass again. My mood was just horrible. And I talk a lot about this on my other podcast about chronic illness. It's called Chasing Chickens, which I'll post the link here. So this is kind of a Chasing Chickens podcast about chronic illness, but it's also functional medicine. But anyways, so that didn't work. So then talked to my GI, and they're like, all right, let's try this medication. Works really well. We have great success with it. So I got my first dose, and that was Stelara. And, every medication works differently for different people. So it's really about finding that right one for you. So got my Stelara. I was like, wow, I feel amazing on this. And you're supposed to go 8 weeks between injections. I made it to week 6, and boom, fell apart again. And this time, the bleeding, the pain, all of the symptoms were 10 times worse. Made an emergency appointment with my doc to get my injection early. It was such a big deal. And they're like, okay, this medication is not working for you. So now we're on to the next medication. And there's so many games to play between, if you're sick, between getting these very expensive, very serious medications approved through insurance. Of course, it gets denied. We've been having to fight with blah, 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 blah. But I always encourage everyone, when it comes to prescriptions, to check out goodrx.com for your basic medications. Definitely ask your insurance company what pharmacy that they prefer. I just found out that Anthem has their own pharmacy that they prefer, and it saves a lot of money. And then when it comes to these big medications, so my first infusion of Stelara came back with like a $22,000 bill. So I had signed up, thankfully, for their patient program. And a lot of these companies have either patient foundations, patient programs, where you can get your dose for $5 or for no cost. So make sure that you're looking into that, because otherwise, like, I would not be here today if it was not without that. So I just got the letter that said, we applied your foundation balance to your initial. I'm like, okay, thank you. That takes a load off of that $22,000 bill that we got. But anyways, so I'm still working to figure all this out. And being an avid documenter that I am, I love to take notes. I am a heavy note taker. I have multiple journals. It is an excellent skill that I picked up in high school, college, and chiropractic college, that I take really good notes. I also really make great Excel sheets, which sounds so weird. I feel like the queen of documentation here. So I made an Excel sheet because I'm sitting here going, Alison, you're missing something. I am missing something with my own health. And so I made this sheet because I'm trying to look at everything that I've done, and I want to kind of encourage you to do this as well. Now, you may say, my doctor doesn't care, and I hear you. They might not. They might not give two shits, and that's fine. Maybe you need a different doctor. So I made a sheet with the different medications that worked. So biologics, what works, what made me sick, what the side effects that I had from them, the prescriptions that I've taken in the past. Some has the medication, the dates, effectiveness. Some say ongoing. Some people say as needed. Some of them say daily. Some said I'm unsure if it helped. LDN, I read it didn't help. Everyone tries to tell me, like, oh, you need to try LDN and butyrate. I'm like, man, those things did not help, or they made me sick. Because a lot of times, like, what are you doing? You're listening to my podcast right now going, I'm sick, tell me what to do, right? You're reading blogs, you're talking to other people. And I met another functional medicine, she's a nurse practitioner, she's just a beautiful human being, and she's like, oh, you need to try this, you need butyrate, you need this. And I'm like, that's great, but I've already done all that. It didn't work. And this is, if my patient handed me this and said, Alison, I've already taken butyrate, probiotics, collagen, enzymes. The enzymes are okay. The butyrate made me really sick. But DHEA, oh man, that made a huge difference for me. Like, that helps us narrow these things down. So make a list of supplements. When did you take them? Better, worse, no change. Ongoing, let us know. I have lifestyle, exercise, what's working, what feels good. I wrote down meal plans. Because like some people sit there and tell you, oh, you have to be vegetarian. I wrote horribly sick. Keto. I feel my best on keto. What am I sensitive to? I know I can't have dairy, stevia, oxalates, or raw veggies. So it's just water filter, like everything, because when we look at functional medicine and this lifestyle, we want to look at not only your physical body environment, we want, parasites, worms, infections, organ processing, genetics, things like that, but we want to look at your physical environment. Are you using air filters, water filters, like what's going on? So my next thing I have is literally labeled strange shit, and ozone IVs and the HOCATs and ozone water, ozone enemas, butyrate enema. Like, I got all kinds of things in there. Therapies from talk therapy, EMDR, pelvic floor, acupuncture, Reiki, craniosacral, infrared sauna, salt bath spas, chiropractic, testing that I've had done, like the GI map, organic acids, C. diff, viral things like Epstein-Barr, negative for TB, of course. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I haven't been tested for Lyme. So I went and got tested for Lyme. And then I also have my genomics on there, like MTHFR and COMT. So this is, and then I also put weird daily shit on there, like castor oil pack, acupuncture mat. I use my Helium, my Alpha Stem. I do meditation, my pranayama breathing. Like, like what am I doing every single day? I also have a list of things in here called cannot take, like those TH1 modulators, like astragalus and echinacea, yerba mate, and then symptoms of what's going on right now. So all of those things. right? And then I actually have a research section of my personal issues of what's been going on, because we know that there's many root causes of autoimmunity. And this is where I'm personally stuck right now, because all of my testing comes back normal, and people are like, oh, you need this test. Maybe it's yeast. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. And I'm like, no, I don't have any of those things. And it's frustrating, right? Like, it's good to be like, okay, I don't have Lyme. That's a blessing. But also, now what? Now what else am I missing? And when I look at the research, I look at my history, I look at what's going on for me personally, I know that the main root causes of autoimmunity, on any kind, whether it's Hashimoto's, ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or rheumatoid arthritis, there's lots. But the main ones are actually mostly uncontrollable. So having a history of hormonal birth control is a causative, known causative, researched causative of autoimmunity, including ulcerative colitis, which is what I have. Well, I can't go back and tell my 16-year-old self, don't get on birth control, right? So, and my hormones right now are doing just fine. So what do we do with that? There's nothing to do with that. Okay, so then we move on. What's the next most known cause for autoimmunity is trauma, and what we call ACEs, the adverse childhood events. So I've had a lot of trauma in my life, and that's why I'm going to do the EMDR therapy, trauma-based therapy, for that support. And while it's helpful, it's not what we can call curative. I don't talk to my therapist and go, oh my God, my colitis is cured. All I needed was some EMDR. I wish, wouldn't that be lovely? That would, I don't know what else to say about that. But we know that that's a causative. So that's why therapy, trauma-based therapy and support is so important moving forward. But like I said, again, we can't go back and necessarily undo that or prevent that. Then we have other things that are out of our control, like genetics. So for me personally, one of the main things that I've been focused on is I do have some genetic issues with hemochromatosis. That's an iron overload issue. And in mice, it's been connected to colitis because of certain things. But my GI is like, no, that's not an issue. And other people are like, oh, that could be, so I'm working on that. So it's important to get these tests done and figure out and make that list and look at that really big picture and go, okay, look at that research. Get on pubmed.gov. It's P as in Patrick, U-B as in butter, M-E-D as in David, pubmed.gov. G-O-V, and that's where all the research is. So I typed in colitis, hemochromatosis, and looked at what came up. And so we can manage that, but again, not curative. And then my fourth one is infection. So Lyme, Epstein-Barr, cytomegaloviruses, COVID now can be an introductor for and triggers essentially for autoimmunity. So what do we do with those root causes? And I sadly right now, I don't have an answer for you. And I bring this to this podcast and this table to say, if you're stuck like me, it's okay. First of all, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And we make the best decisions we can make in that moment. Trauma, childhood events, financial struggles, not your fault. And a lot of people go through this. So if you're sick, I really just would encourage you to take a step back, take some pressure off yourself, find some centering in your body, which is why meditation, breath work, therapy is so important, because sometimes our bodies are just sick. And I'll tell you something, I would say at least twice a day, I tell all of my patients, bodies are stupid. Bodies are just stupid. We can't control our environment. We can't control the air we breathe. We can do some things, but we can't. Life will not be perfect. We're exposed to a lot of things that can cause issues, and we can't protect ourselves from every little thing in the world. So you can do your best, and that's why I think this list is so important, so you can keep adding to it and keep trying different things, and you can remember, did I try this? I don't know. Like, oh, I saw this thing on this website and she said it really helped her, and oh, let me put this on my list and let me give it a good month or two and see what happens. Or, you know, maybe it is time that I get tested for Lyme. Look at that research and really do your best. Keep taking care of yourself, because these things are difficult, and it's emotionally draining, it's physically draining, it's physically taxing. But I do feel like that there is always light and support at the end of, not at the end of the tunnel, but the whole way through the tunnel. There's a million different things. And now I'm going to caution you, and I think I've talked about this before, but I don't want you to go out and spend $10,000 on a bunch of nonsense. And I think that's where the functional medicine world is. I don't have a nice word for it, but I think that's where the functional medicine world is greedy, I guess. I don't want to say failing, but I understand that these machines and these equipment and things that they have to help people are very expensive to purchase. And I've walked out a lot of offices with a $10,000 program in hand going, I guess I'll die. Like, I can't afford to be in an office 3 to 5 times a week getting all these special treatments and hoping that I live, right? So we can combine the best of both worlds. We can combine traditional medication, surgeries, all of these things on top of our natural support. As long as there's no contraindications, make sure that we check all of those things out, talk to your doctor, your pharmacist, all of those good things. But keep searching. Like, I really wanted to get back into ozone, but you know, the machines are kind of expensive. And so I've tried ozone suppositories, and those have been making a good difference. Who would have thought? So in combination of finding the right medication and the right supplementation, the right support, we're able to get to that. But you know what? If you can't get to that root cause, or you know the root cause and it's just not curable, right? Like, oh, I had a parasite and then I killed the parasite and now I'm cured. Don't beat yourself up. Just know that I'm sitting there right here with you going, damn, I wish whatever triggered this hadn't been triggered. And I'm going to do the best to support my body where it is right now in this moment and give it the things that it needs. And at the same time, I can sit here and say, this sucks. I wish that there was a magic cure for whatever I'm going through. But I'm going to do the best to take care of myself. And make your list, make your Excel sheet, start trying some new things as you continue to experiment and see what your body needs best. So best of luck to you, all the love in the world. And as I always say, don't give up. There's always something out there to try and experiment with, research on, and get the help that you need. Of course, if you're looking for personalized care and support and you want to dive into the functional medicine world, you can set up a consultation with me. I promise I don't do $10,000 payment plans because I'm all telemedicine, and we do testing at home. We keep it real cheap. So you can schedule online with me. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you. Follow me on socials. Let me know what you think of today's podcast and how what your experience is in going down these lists and trying to figure out how to best support your body. And make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of our podcasts. During the summer, they probably won't be weekly with the kids home. but I promise I will pop in and out until school starts again in August. So thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Functional Wellness with Dr. Alison. If you would like personalized care and testing, you can schedule an initial consult online and get started with your wellness plan right away, or message us on Facebook at Little Black Bag Medicine. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.